we all have reasons on why we're not where we want to be, and how we get there and how we get rid of the rock in our shoe is really, truly, it's all the same way. We have to change our mindset. And we all hold on to old beliefs, and we all create the distractions that prevent us from doing what we know that we have to do. So that the natural tendency is A, make this excuse, and B, create the distraction. It can be consciously and it can be subconsciously, but usually during our day, we know that we have to make our phone calls, and it's very easy to say, oh, but I have to do this, or oh, I have to do that. Is it a true distraction that has to be done? That's another high level activity higher than making the business happen, or is it a distraction preventing you from doing what you don't want to do? And you're all lying if you're saying that there's nothing that
we all do it. We all do it.
Even when you're performing,
when I'm doing my stats,
yes,
I don't want to do the stats, so I find different things to do.
Yes.
It eventually gets done, but I try to avoid it as long as I can, because it's just not very fun. It's a dry kind of task to do. So you find things that
you have the option to make a post on Facebook and watch all of the likes and loves and comments. You're going to do that rather than make a phone call. And even when you sit down to make the phone calls, you're still going to be more distracted on the Facebook post than you are giving full-time attention to making the phone calls, because it feels good when people respond to Facebook comments. It feels good when things are happening that you're getting a reaction from people. What doesn't feel good is to sit down and call somebody that you might potentially get hung up on. And it doesn't feel good to sit there and think about calling people and feeling like a telemarketer, and they're not going to like you because you're the telemarketer. We have to overcome those beliefs in our mind to be able to say, I'm not the telemarketer. I may have had a situation that happened in my past, but I'm not going to bring it and let that win and stop me from wanting to move forward. Lead quality. Well, we can all blame lead quality, but to what extent are we blaming the lead quality? Are you doing everything it takes to exhaust it to be able to not have that as an excuse and make it, okay, that's the reality. I have called these people X amount of times. I have texted them. I have done this. I have done everything humanly possible. Something's just wrong with the quality. Or are we just looking at it? We called them once and nobody answers the phone. Or every lead's a bad phone number because you have one that's a bad phone number, because we tend to focus on the negative. And then
I call them once. These are all bad leads. No one answers. You called them one time. I'm pretty sure every time your phone rings, you don't answer it every single time. People are very cautious these days as to what they're answering, especially if they don't recognize the phone number. And that's the importance of consistency of your calls, so they start to recognize that.
This is where we leave the meat on the bone, so to speak, because this is when we get in our heads. We send her an email, she doesn't open it. We send her a text message, she doesn't respond. Then we go into, why am I doing this? This chick doesn't even, she's not even going to be buying at the end of the year. She's not worth my time, right? The story that goes in our heads. We have to be very aware of the story that we're telling ourselves, because we are literally sabotaging our own business because of our story. We have no idea what happens to her when she gets home from work. We have no idea what her lifestyle is like. And we have to remember that we are not yet a priority in her life. So if you think about the things that you do and people that catch you, have you ever dodged a phone call because you knew it would take longer than the time that you have? And you're like, oh my gosh, I really do want to talk to this person, but I don't have the time right now, right?
Yeah.
And you might be driving and they send you a text message and you mentally respond. By the end of the day, then it's too late to respond via text message, and these people might be important to you. So we cannot take anything personally, and we have to really just get through that story and say, okay, I know she's going to be buying a house by the end of the year. I know I'm the best agent for her. I don't want to bother her, but I want to make sure that she remembers who I am. And it's that gentle balance. And all you need to do is put yourself in her shoes. If I was looking for a home and I had reached out to somebody or someone was reaching out to me and it was a bad time frame, how would I want them to speak to me? What kind of messages would make me really want to do business with that person, even if I was non-communicative?
Right.
So if you come from a non-threatening perspective of, hey, I don't want to bother you, I'm so sorry, I just want to check in real quick, they will respect that on the other side because they'll feel your genuineness.
Okay.
Is it a good strategy to gauge leads with property views more than one? My tendency is to ignore those with only one view, like one view per property.
I don't discriminate. If I haven't talked to you and you're actively looking, I'm trying to get a hold of you. I don't care how many you looked at or how few you looked at. If you logged in, you had some type of interest to know what was going on in the market. And that's just what we have to find out.
Yeah.
It's, we have to come to these leads just out of curiosity of what were you looking for? And not be attached to the fact that they may not be buying. They just, heck, I can't afford to go to these high-end major department stores, right? You can go to some of these stores and it's like $1,000 for a pair of pants.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to look, right? As a pipe train, it'd be cool to pay $1,000 for a pair of pants. Not really, but I'm like, who do that? But the reality is it's like a car wreck. You can't not look. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
right?
You don't even want to look because it makes you feel bad. You're like, geez, like I'm gonna leave this mall or the store all depressed that you couldn't buy these really nice pants that clearly are overpriced.
Yeah, I've talked to people that they're like, oh my gosh. Well, and even so, my boyfriend and I, we went to New Orleans, his hometown, and we drove by the home that he grew up in that was for sale. And I'm like, how much do you think that is? And we had to pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with people doing that, but then we get pissed off at them whenever we talk to them. We're like, but you know what? We all do it. We all do it. And it's like, okay.
Feel nurtured.
Cool. Yeah. Did you find out what you were looking for? Yeah.
Well, and another thing, Steve, is if you haven't previously spoken to that person, they may only do any one views on those properties because the criteria isn't actually set to what they're looking for. So they're not engaging any further in those listings because they're of no interest to them.
True.
So until you have that conversation, you need to, you got to call them to find that out.
Never put time into a lead that to set up their search criteria just on assuming. I just don't do it. Once I have a conversation with you, I'll go in and set up your search, but I'm not touching it. So when we're talking about our conversion ratios and what we're converting and what we're doing, I look at $127,000 lead as much as I look at $1 million lead, because a person is a person. I don't care how much money they're spending. It's all about the experience that person has, because those people have friends and those people have family. So when I look at one transaction, I'm looking at it as multiple transactions, because when I do my job, I do it damn well. And I'm getting referrals out of my one transaction. So I don't discriminate when it comes down to this lead isn't worth my time. Because if a person...
It wasn't discrimination upon price.
What's that?
It was more it wasn't discrimination upon the price. I'm discriminating against the fact
on the
that
settlement.
Motivation is really quite low and may never happen. All the stars have to align for this lead to... And
we're getting closer to 3 years. And honestly, when you call back in a month, it's maybe like a 2 or 3 minute phone call. So it's not that exhausting. In our minds, it's so easy to overthink things and go, oh God, freaking settlement. And then just forget about these people. But then these are the same ones that we call 2 years later and they're like, oh, I already purchased. You're like, damn it. So, it's like, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I totally get what you're saying. And, this is where it's, I always tell our clients, only you can determine the value of that lead based on where you are with your business. Because if you have nothing, if you're not at a settlement table, you should be working with either at a listing appointment or showing properties. If you're not at a listing appointment or you're not showing properties, you should be talking to people to get to the listing appointment and showing the properties. So those are really the three main things that we need to do in our business to keep our business going. The problem is all the other facets come along the way with the contracts, the negotiation, the inspections, and all the stuff we don't like to do, right? That gets in the way of keeping the momentum of creating business going. So this is where we get into that place of hiring. Because the reality is, if you're too busy for a lower value lead, that means it's time to duplicate yourself.
When it comes to, potentially you giving advice to a new realtor, someone that just, stepped into the game and is learning the ropes, stuff like that, dealing with online lead generation as a first-time thing, it's going to have its fair share of stresses, going to have its fair share of failures, stuff like that. What would you kind of point out? What would you single out as the thing that you need to focus on most? What would be your, let's say, key to success, in your opinion?
I don't even know if I'm qualified because, how do we define success? If we define success as being cash flow positive, I'll let you know when I get there. But yes, so I think, okay, so a couple of things. I think the first thing that I would say, it's not as hard as you might think. It's not difficult. All you're doing is you're picking up the phone and you're calling people that you don't know yet. But within 5 seconds of being on the phone with them, they're no longer a stranger. Now you're having a conversation with just another person. And so it's not as hard as you think. It's easy to be scared of making the call, especially if you've been burned by a couple of hangups or, it's easy, and that of course still happens. So what do you do if you have to face rejection? Well, you find a way to cope with it. And my way of coping with rejection is there's a little bit of meditation. It's summertime, so I might walk away from the office and go sit outside for 10 minutes and just breathe in the beautiful sunshine, and then I go back to work. But I think the most important thing for me is not to try to force it if I'm not in a moment of inspiration. Do you know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
I know that sounds like a little frou-frou and a little out there and a little, I don't know, new age maybe. Do people still say new age? But if you are going into a conversation and your energy is not in the right place, then you're not going to have the result that you want. You're just not. But if you pick up the phone and they say, keep smiling and dialing, and the person can hear your smile, they can hear that you're happy, they can hear that you're upbeat. Who doesn't want to be on the phone with somebody like that? Absolutely. And if they say to you, listen, I've already signed with another realtor, well, if you've already established a relationship with that person, then you're in a very good place to say, how about your friends? How about your neighbors? I am so motivated to spread this great service. I'd love to talk to someone that that might be looking for a house. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways of going about it. But the most important things for me were, don't be afraid of making the call. Don't be afraid of adding value. So you have the first phone call and then maybe you had to leave a voicemail. Maybe the next time you try to reach them is through a text. Or maybe the third time you try to reach them is, you call them, but you don't leave a message and you text them instead so they can see who's calling, and then you leave a little message, or maybe there's an email in there, or there's whatever it is, the lead will inspire you to do whatever is going to fit for that lead. So if you're getting the sense like this person just doesn't want to talk to me, well, that's okay. So send them a text and then say, listen, I'm here if you need help. I'm all about no pressure. Please let me know what I can do. And then email them once a week with a really cool listing that you think they might like. Oh, saw this house. I thought of you. Am I on the right track? Am I getting warm? That kind of a thing. There's lots of different ways to reach out and stay in front of people. But most people, it's true, if they even make the first phone call, they do give up after the first call. The agent will give up after trying one time, and you can't be the agent that gives up after trying one time. So it's really there's a lot that goes into it, but you just have to find your groove. You just have to find what works for you. And the only way to find that is to be calling enough of the leads on a regular basis. I guess that's the last piece that I would say is you always want to have time scheduled in every single day to follow up with the leads. And if you don't have time to follow up with the leads for a day or two or even a week, make sure that you're...
Hey folks, gotta wade in here. Missing appointments to prospect should never happen. As Mike Ferry once said, I believe the wording was, your most important appointment is your appointment to prospect for appointments. Filling the pipeline is critical, and it's so critical, like Dana says, but it's an appointment you should not miss. If you had an appointment to show homes to a client, you wouldn't cancel that appointment because something else came up. Your appointment with yourself is as important as any appointment you have.
Investing the time when you get back to the office, because you've been out showing houses and closing deals, and that's what you want to be doing. But when you get back, make sure you're dedicating, because filling that pipeline is going to be what's going to give you the deal in a month, in 2, in 3, in 4, in 6 months. That's the only way to keep the business coming in an organized and sort of consistent way, is to continue to work that pipeline. So that's the other thing I would say.
So just to jump in, as I watch this video, Dana's got a really good point. You want to be the realtor that is there when the people call. Don't disappear because they don't answer when you do. The other thing is, when we talk about leads that are maybe a bit of a dick to you, remember, the people that are super friendly, that is very likely their personality, they're super friendly to everybody. So don't get too excited that you've necessarily created a relationship. Ask for the relationship. Make sure that you are not taking for granted that you're their realtor of choice. Conversely, if a lead is a bit of a dick to you, those can be gold, twofold. 99 times out of 100, they've scared away your competition, because other realtors will turtle when they come across somebody that is a dickhead. 2, you might just have caught those people at a bad time. I can't tell you how many times over the years I'll call a lead and I make notes. If somebody is a jerk, I remember next time I call them, and I always kind of made a game of it. I would call back and I'd be expecting somebody to be a jerk based upon the notes that I made. Completely different personality the next time. I just got them at a bad time.
Usually in the coaching world of real estate, they coach you to convert, but I'm like, let's play some online, let's play some online games here. Let's process of eliminate and worry about getting the 89 down, and not even think about conversion, not even think about what's happening, but just finding out who is going to be answering the phone that you can have a conversation with out of the 89, and just have fun with it. We get so much in our heads and we get so worried about converting and closing a deal that we just kind of forget to enjoy the process. But we never know where a conversation is going to take us.
Well, and what I do with some of my coaching clients that haven't been used to making 50 calls a day, make 5 today. Tomorrow, when you sit down, see if you can beat that time. Track your time, track your results. Tomorrow, call 5 more and see if you can beat it. The next day, do 10. Then the next day, do 10 and see if you can beat that number. And just gradually increase. Start creating that habit. And then it's going to get more and more comfortable for you.